How's everyone doing? Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to our stock trades. Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, guys? What's going on? All right. So one of our stock terminal members by the name of Belize, he went ahead and posted this video on our stock terminal regarding Elizabeth Warren slamming one of the board of directors. Now, personally, I don't want to put attention to this because I have a conflict of interest myself. I don't want this video to circulate, right? I mean, right? Because I have a conflict, but then I stopped myself and I said, well, it's just not in the best interest of my subscribers and just not good practice. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. We're going to go talk about it. So good to see you too, Rudy. Definitely share this video. We're going to talk about some good stuff, but we're going to go ahead and talk about Elizabeth Warren talking about Clover Health, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and I'm going to mute myself, and let me know if you guys can hear. All right. I'm going to do increased speed of volume, so speed of the thing, so it can go a little faster.
Mr. Kouzoukas, you have been nominated to serve as the public trustee of the Medicare and Social Security trust funds. I have concerns about your conflicts of interest. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise. I sent you a letter outlining those concerns. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that letter part of the hearing record. So ordered. The position of public trustee was created in the 1980s to give the public a voice in the Board of Trustees solvency projections for Medicare and Social Security. And a big factor influencing Medicare solvency today is the growth of Medicare Advantage, a program that allows for profit insurance companies to sell Medicare coverage that experts say is on target this year to overcharge the government by $75 billion. In other
Okay, so yeah, and in the next 10 years, they're going to charge even more. So the reason being is the government realized that they can't do this on their own, right? Healthcare, let me just put, healthcare is a very expensive endeavor, and the government just can't handle the influx of 10,000 people turning 65 every day, right? So they need help, right? Which is why this program was established. And this is a bipartisan commitment on both sides. There's obviously there's like different tiers of Democrat, right? There's like the bottom tier, which is people you don't really hear about. They're Democrat. You don't even know them. I don't even know them. I know some of them, right? One of them is from my high school, right? He works with President Biden and all these folks, and but he's just not in that upper tier on the big stage yet, right? Then there's a middle tier of people. And I would classify Elizabeth Warren as a middle tier, right? The reason being is people like the Clintons, Obama, Biden, they're in the upper tier. Another person in the board of directors of Clover Health is Chelsea Clinton, which is the daughter of Bill and Hillary Clinton. Okay, so this is getting support bipartisan. And I would also put Bernie Sanders in the middle tier, even though he's very popular to the people. It's just within the Democratic leadership, they like to put these folks down because I honestly feel like they truly do have the best intentions for people. But we live in a capitalistic society. So just, be honest here, right? Nancy Pelosi, if you look, she's the best Wall Street investor of our time. Warren Buffett has nothing on her. Shout out Nancy Pelosi, right? And then you got Republicans doing the exact same thing, right? There was a company called Energy Transfer. Kelsey Warren was the CEO. The Secretary of Energy under Trump was also a board member for Energy Transfer. So this is nothing new. This is not the finance committee for Senate. This is nothing new, and she knows that. And is it going to change? No, it's not. Having people talk about it like what I'm doing now, that could backfire, which I don't want to. I want this guy, in there. right? And I'll give you my opinion after. I don't want to put it in the middle of the video, but let's go back to hear what she says. Okay.
Words, Medicare Advantage has a lot to do with threatening the solvency of Medicare. Mr. Kouzoukas, you sit on the board of Clover Health, a for-profit insurance company that, according to its most recent SEC filing, receives a, quote, substantial portion, close quote, of its total revenue from Medicare Advantage premiums. How much are you paid for your work at Clover?
I'm paid according to the company's process for.
Okay, and what's the dollar amount? That's what I'm asking.
Well, there's a portion of the competition that relates to equity and a portion that relates to particular roles on the board.
So you don't know the amount that you're getting paid from Clover?
I do, Senator.
The way these compensation packages are structured is that as the company becomes more profitable, they get more money. So the way Senator Elizabeth Warren answered the question, and we could do the ChatGPT analysis too, but I think I hope you guys can trust my input here. She was asking a binary question. It was a yes or no. The problem is it's a trap both ways, right? But you have to think 2 steps ahead in this situation. You can either say, I get paid $100,000, but then a year, 2 years from now, they'll call you back and they'll say, you said $100,000. You lied. Now you're at 200, 300, 400, whatever it is. But then the actual answer was what he was trying to say is that these packages end up basically oscillating based off of the company's performance. So that's the true answer. And Elizabeth Warren, this is a tactic. You know, you also see AOC, whom I guess if I were to say tiers, I guess is also in that middle tier and upper tier, but she's like on a tier on her own. I don't even think she, AOC is like somewhere else, so, I really do like her in terms of her, just her ability to public speak and, captivate, when she walks in a room, no matter where you are on the political arena, she does take your breath away, right? In terms of just well articulated and it's pretty well. Even though I don't agree with some of her policies, I admire the passion. It's what we need, honestly. It's why America is what it is. So, but I digress. She's trying to answer the question logically, but it's a tactic that people use when they're in the Senate. So let's continue.
Then how about you tell me?
Well, there's a portion that relates to the.
Could I have a dollar amount, please?
Well, it also depends on the year and the time.
Okay, you did a financial disclosure last year. Would you like to tell me what you said on your financial disclosure, which you signed under oath?
I believe, Senator, as laid out in your letter, you pointed out to the payment that was from Clover with regards to 2022 and the compensation therein being in the category of $100,000.
Okay, so you
see, she realized that trap, it didn't work for him. So she's all right, fine. You want to tell me the financial disclosure in 2022? Yeah, okay. $100,000. Right? He was direct, wasn't he? So let's see what let's see if she honors his directness.
received $100,000 from Clover for your service. And if confirmed as a public trustee, do you plan to quit the Clover board?
Senator, I appreciate the opportunity to address your question.
It's really easy. You can say yes or you can say no.
Senator, the role of the trustees of the Social Security.
Is that a yes or a no? Do you plan to quit the job for which you were paid $100,000 a year?
Okay, but the thing is, if you go ahead and look at all the other board of trustees from all the other arenas, I'm sure I haven't looked at it, so don't quote me on this, but I assume I'm sure if the Secretary of Energy in Donald Trump's former presidency was on the board of Energy Transfer, I assume there's other conflicts of interest as well. Let's continue.
Senator, I'm grateful to the president and his team for the review of my credentials and qualifications.
I mean, really,
as well.
You know you're going to have to answer this question. Is it yes or no? Are you planning to resign the job that pays you $100,000 a year while you are a trustee for Medicare?
Senator, the review of my current activities and my credentials and qualifications is one that all nominees undergo. And that's one that led to the president putting my nomination before this body. I'm grateful for that. And
Look, I'm not going to get into why the president nominated you. What I want to know is, are you going to keep a job where you
Yeah, because he actually knows what he's doing, and he's good at his job. And we don't. Again, it's that different tier, right? The first tier nominated him. I don't want to get into that first tier, right? Because this is the second tier, right? That makes sense. Watch the video if you just came in. If you don't watch from the beginning.
You get paid by a for-profit outfit somewhere in the neighborhood of $100,000 a year while you keep your government trustee job. Can you answer that question?
Senator, the role of the trustees actually.
Okay, I'm going to take that as a yes, because I'm going to assume that if you were going to quit that job, you would be really happy to tell me that right now before we go into the question of what it means for you to keep this job. Mr. Kouzoukas, as we both know, as a member of the board, corporate law requires you to help Clover maximize its profits. So, for example, if you highlighted the amount of fraud that Medicare Advantage undergoes every year and how that fraud is undermining the solvency of Medicare, that could lead to policies that might limit the Medicare Advantage program. And if that happened, Mr. Kouzoukas, would limiting the Medicare Advantage program undercut the profitability of Clover, the company that by law you are supposed to be watching out for? That was a question.
I'm not sure I understood the question.
All right.
Question.
So,
maybe he didn't understand the question because he is on the hot seat. But it makes sense, right? So I mean, like, as a board of trustee, you have an incentive for the president and the country, and then as a board of directors, you have an incentive for maximizing the profits, of that company. So how you're gonna, and she's saying that, is there a conflict of interest where you're gonna want Clover Health to make the most bang out of their buck? And as a shareholder, yeah, hell yeah, right? Yeah, everyone else is doing it. Does it make it okay? No, but you kind of have to look. Life is not black and white. Elizabeth Warren, AOC. I used to think this way, right? Again, I have 4 degrees. I have a bachelor's in science and health science and physiology, a bachelor's in science and neuroscience. But the one here is I have a bachelor's in art and sociology. And boy, did I love to. I was like Elizabeth Warren, AOC 101. When I was in those classrooms, we were talking about the ideal world, right? Karl Marx, the haves and have-nots of society, and all these things. But it just doesn't work that way. It's not black or white. Life is not like. Trust me, if it is, it would have been solved a long time ago, right? Clover Health is actually trying to help. Obviously, they're shareholders, but also primarily their lives that they serve. That's what Clover Health is trying to do. They're catching chronic kidney disease as an earlier rate, diabetes as an earlier rate. They're doing a really good job that other insurance companies are not doing. So, I mean, did Humana start good in the beginning? Of course it did. And did it end up becoming a behemoth and a dinosaur and an incumbent and pathological? Yeah, just like what Emil Durkheim, for all the sociologists out there, stated, right? But as of right now, Clover, there's no problem with it. It is helping. It's truly trying to help. So you have to take the lesser of evils, and in this case, it's Clover, right? It just so happens to benefit us financially, right? Let's continue.
So my question is, if you are on the board of Clover, you are legally obligated to try to help Clover to improve its profitability over time, or at least sustain its profits. That's corporate law 101, right? So if you are also serving as a Medicare trustee, I just want to be clear here. If the focus in the Medicare program is on the amount of fraud that is currently in the Medicare Advantage program, I think it's reasonable to assume that could lead to reducing the amount of money that we put into Medicare Advantage, to putting more restrictions on Medicare Advantage, to saying we've got to put a cop on the beat, maybe cut it out altogether. What I'm asking you is, would that injure Clover? That is, would it reduce Clover's profitability?
Senator, I think all Americans, and I especially, would share your attentiveness to the questions of fraud.
I appreciate that, but I asked you a pretty straightforward question. If you're actually going to be a trustee on behalf of the American people and people who care about the solvency of Medicare, then I think you ought to be able to answer it. If Medicare currently, as it stands, put more restrictions on Medicare Advantage, would that likely cut into the profitability of Clover, the company from which you receive more than $100,000 in compensation annually?
Senator, I think that the question you're asking.
I know the question I'm asking. Could you answer my question, please?
Again, it's not a black and white 1 or 0 answer. Life is gray, and she's not allowing him to describe this gray. And if obviously there's limited time and there's people take advantage of the situation, but I feel like it would be better. And these are hot seats; these are made to be like this, right? Her talking about this is not to help the American people. It's for her to get elected. It's a nice and these folks know Americans like drama, and this is how you get people's attention. Having a good conversation like what me and you are having right now is not going viral, right? Because this is a conversation we're having. We're two adults having conversations, and that's how wealthy people talk, right? So let's continue.
Yes.
You want to be a trustee for the American people. You ought to be able to answer that question.
The question you're asking is one that deserves a greater context about the role of the trustee.
No, it deserves an answer from you. You want to be the trustee.
He's saying that it deserves more context, which is an answer. No, it deserves an answer. Okay, well, it needs context. So the problem with Elizabeth Warren is she was a teacher. And the issue, I think this was posted about, for folks that don't know, this was posted about this was posted September 28th, so a day ago, to answer your question, Lance Frost. So this is about a day ago, right? It was posted. It was a finance committee, right? So the problem with Elizabeth Warren, and we talked about this when I was in medical school, when I was in the master's program, the educational system is A, B, C, or D. It's always answer choices. And unfortunately, the educational system, I would say, even medical school, which is why they put people in clinicals, is it really necessarily does not prepare you, the multiple choice tests do not prepare you for the real world. When you go see a patient, you're not going to have a multiple choice test on his head, right? It's going to say, what's a diagnosis? A, diabetes. B, heart disease. Life is not black and white. It needs more context. But this educational system in which she's running the Senate committee right now, this finance committee, unfortunately, is just not the way the world works. Right? Let's continue.
Then answer the question. If Medicare cut what goes into Medicare Advantage, would that hurt Clover's profitability? That's not a hard question. And in fact, Clover has already pretty much answered that in its public documents. So could you give an answer to that, please?
I think, Senator, that what's important to focus here on here.
I know what's important to focus on here. That's why I'm here, is to ask the questions that are important to focus on. Could you answer my question, please?
Yes, Senator. I think that if confirmed, Dr. Newman and I would be an outside set of eyes and ears.
That is not my question. Can you answer my question, or are you just flatly refusing?
Senator, I'd be delighted to this.
Then answer my question.
And I think that the question is one that is in the context of a hearing.
No, it's a question that's a straight financial question. Mr. Kouzoukas, I think you're going to get away with this by just not answering the question and not having any clip that admits how much money you're taking from a private insurance company that makes its money through Medicare.
So I just wanted to repeat what she says. I'm going to slow it down really slow so we can analyze it. One moment, please.
That makes its money through Medicare Advantage at the same moment that you're trying to take a public role that will influence whether we focus on the fraud in Medicare Advantage or public role, private insurance question, and not having any clip that admit away with this to a question. Mr. Kouzoukas, I think you think you're going to get away with this by just not answering the question and not having any clip that admits how much money you're taking from a private insurance company.
You're going to get away with this. She states, I repeat, you're going to get away with this and you're not going to have a clip that admits how much you're taking from the X, Y, and Z. That, like I told you, that is the sole purpose of this meeting. Is to just catch a clip for her campaign. It's just a fiasco show business that has nothing to do with actually trying to solve the issue at hand, which is why I kind of gave up on politics, right? Let's continue.
That makes its money through Medicare Advantage at the same moment that you're trying to take a public role that will influence whether we focus on the fraud in Medicare Advantage or whether we turn a blind eye to it. Let's be clear. If Mr. Kouzoukas ignores the fraud, then he helps Clover. If he focuses on the fraud, he hurts Clover. The conflict of interest here is so big and so pervasive that there is no action that Mr. Kouzoukas can take that doesn't either help or hurt Clover, the company that pays him $100,000 a year to sit on its board and watch out for the company. And there is no waiver that can change that fact. This kind of conflict is shocking, and it is deeply unethical. Not a single other trustee has ever received compensation from an insurance company while acting as a Medicare trustee. And if you won't step down from the Clover board, then you should withdraw your nomination. And if you do not withdraw, given the clear conflicts posed by your board service, I will strongly oppose your nomination, and I will encourage every other senator in this body to do so as well. Mr. Kouzoukas.
Let's go ahead and dissect this. Okay, so let's go ahead and dissect this. So, she's mad, of course, about this gentleman here. Who is this gentleman? Let me go ahead and stop sharing screen here. Let me share the normal screen where I can flip it around. So this guy is on the director for Clover. He came in 2022. He's teamed up with teammate partners. Venture capital, focus on cybersecurity and fintech and all that other stuff, right? And you can read more about him here. He is a lawyer, but yeah, my recommendation is watch from the beginning. Lots going on, but in short, it's pretty much in the title. We're just breaking the video down that Senator Warren was talking about Clover Health. Okay, so first things first, what I want to basically say here is hold on for a sec. Give me one momento. Okay, yeah. So there's a lot of variables here, and it's hard for me to communicate to you all the little nuances of things. But in regards to ethics, I can just kind of give you a personal anecdote of the ethics. I was personal story for me. There were some unethical things happening in undergrad when I was young, and I was talking to one of the deans. And the deans literally said, there sadly, Al, there isn't ethical police, right? There isn't any ethical police. And I was very shocked to hear that. I was like, what? Again, I was in school, sociology, very, like if you were to say, here's Republican and here's Democrat, like Democrats right here, I was basically about 500 million miles beyond a Democrat. I was like if you think AOC was bad, I was like far, but because I was repeating the stuff I was being taught, right? I didn't have a time to develop my own personality and infuse it with the information I was receiving. But that comment I would like to share with you about there's no such thing as ethical police is really interesting, because this is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. Without getting too philosophical, too esoteric, too theoretical, just something from my just life, right, to pass on to you, just to show you how terrible this world is, right? As you know, I was homeless when I was 15. My own family has wronged me. My own family, as a young kid, can do so much harm to me. Just imagine what other people out there in the world can do. If you can share a room with someone and you see all the conflicts that happen and arise with family, it shows you how disgusting this world is, right? Which is why, I could have taken two routes: perpetuate the cycle of abuse and not be able to do something in the world, or be a beacon of hope and create a bunch of things to help folks, which is what we're doing here. That being said, I understand where Elizabeth Warren's coming from. I get that, this is a ethically moral weirdness. I'm not going to say wrong, weirdness. And of course, there's going to be some incentives for Clover. But Clover is the underdog, and she's focusing on Clover. What is United Healthcare doing? What is Humana doing? What are these other big dogs doing? And are they paying her? Right? There's just so many pieces to cut. And, for all of you watching, well, Clover is doing the right thing here. If I was Clover, I would want my government to know about me. I would want to be able to have a spokesman that has the best interest of my company inside the government. Of course, I want that. Because other people are doing it. Because that is how the system is structured. If she does not like the system in which she sits in, the chair in which she presides in, then she should talk to Nancy Pelosi, who's essentially taken money from Visa, IPO, look it up, I believe before 2010, and made so much money on it and reorganizing law for the purposes of money, and all the insider trading that has happened in the Senate and House chambers. This is not it's easy to point the finger at a company trying to survive, that is unprofitable now, that is trying to give freaking food to their patients. I even have to cut that. They're giving food to their patients. You're telling me that the government will run a better insurance program than a company that's publicly traded that has a chief financial officer? In America, it's very clear. You want the best, you have to pay for it. For all the people in our Mastering Stock Market course, you guys know that. You see the quality of what you have. And I'm not even done building it. You pay for what you get. Right? You want the best doctor? Well, it's going to cost you. That's just the world we live in. Should it be that way? Of course not. Is AI going to replace this? Of course it will. But in the meantime, Clover is doing great, and to just go ahead and essentially pinpoint this person and not letting him share the context, it's very clear that's not her mission. If her mission was to get to the bottom of this, to understand more about it, then she would have had a conversation with him. But yet she was interrupting him to pressure him to essentially get to a position to get a clip. She admits it. I'm not going to be able to get a clip on you. She wants to get a clip. She wants to essentially hurt him. That is her primary goal. She stepped into this meeting having her own sets of cognitive biases and a sniper on his head. But unfortunately, if you go down here, you can see 3 people disliked it and 170 people liked it. So you can see that a lot of Americans do not know, and they have not been trained to identify bias when it comes to things they read and listen to. Okay? Now, I wasn't going to make a video about this, but I'm just trying to teach you from my education. Do I have a bias? Of course. The beautiful part about medical school is it really teaches you what you know and what you do not know. I have a bias for Clover Health. Do I want Clover Health to succeed? Of course I do. I want Clover Health to kick Humana's booty, right? I want them to be $60 billion market cap. That's $120 price tag, $120 stock price, 120 bagger right there, right? If they can do that, okay. But this is, I feel bad for there's a lot of audiences here. There's the investor audience that are going to be watching this. Clover Health is going to be watching this. The board of directors are going to be watching this. The guy who got grilled is going to be watching this to see how he was talking, and poor guy. And I think this lady behind it, she's going to be watching it too, right? There's a lot of audiences here, and obviously the American people, and the one that's getting the most manipulated is the American people. That's it, right? So it's a shame. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's read the comments here, and then we'll close off. I feel regularly we get overwhelmed, push one way or another, mainstream. Yeah, exactly. So she keeps pretending. Okay, well, yeah, I don't want to get too much into politics. Elizabeth Warren makes $200,000 per year just in salary, not to mention her other income. Yeah. When did this take place? We answered it yesterday. She posted it. According to Open Secrets, in 2015, she was worth nearly $8 million. I imagine that has substantially increased in recent years. Good for her. But what an extreme hypocrite. Hey, guys, what's going on? We answered. She's of the belief that this is an advocate for the people. So she's an advocate for the people position, and it's not. It's oversight. His resume is perfect, so I think she's looking for an excuse for a more progressive nominee. Exactly. And just like I said, if you get for what you pay for, you want someone who's top dog, you hire this guy. This guy's top dog, you want someone who, you want to go ahead and get a more progressive nominee. Okay, go ahead. But healthcare is going to remain broken because we know socialism doesn't work. Sadly, trust me, I would want it to work. It just doesn't work. You can go ahead and look at the history and analysis and, other countries that have done it, and you can kind of come to the same conclusion, right? But no one's going to do the due diligence, right? So this gentleman here, healthcare is broken. I hope Clove can help fix it, even if in a small way it would make a difference. And it would also, and I'm not going to lie, it would also make a difference in our pockets, right? We can't we don't want to be like Elizabeth Warren, where we basically say, we're going to be benefiting from this financially, right? But again, we deserve it. We deserve it. We got destroyed hard by short sellers. We got attacked by a lot of folks. We, analysts gave some BS price targets, and we continue to be doubling down on our conviction, analyzing the company's free cash flow. And then it's funny how now she's talking about Clover Health becoming profitable, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are close. We are close. We are close, so close to the promised land. And I cannot wait to share with you how Clover Health is going to become the next 10 bagger. Okay. But overall, whatever the case in the decade, it won't matter. Clover will be successful, and Warren will. Yeah. Right. Wait. Start right here. All right. There it is. All right. So you guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit it with a like. Let's be like Elizabeth Warren, right? Let's get to 170 likes, and if you can, 3 dislikes. I'm just kidding, 0 dislikes, right? And I think that's all I have to say, guys. It is what it is. Let Clover do its job. And this gentleman here, Demetrios, if you want to join the channel and talk, hit me up, support@allstocktrades.com. We have some connections on LinkedIn. I'll see you on the next one. Stock Trades out.